You know what we got to start with tonight. We have to talk about Ryan Walters. And just last week, I already talked about him and how so many school districts were rejecting his social studies standards, how many textbook companies were rejecting them. Well, Ryan Walters, shortly after I made that video last week, he's back in the news for like chef's kiss, just the best reasons possible. So, in case you've been living in a hole and you don't know who Ryan Walters is, he's the superintendent of public instruction in Oklahoma. This is the dude, if you aren't familiar with him. And he's a Christian nationalist whose entire purpose in public office is to shove Jesus in the classrooms. So you could see him right here. He's holding a Trump Bible that he tried to get into public schools. He's already rewritten the social studies standards in order to indoctrinate kids with more Christianity. And he's tried to use public money to launch a religious charter school. That thing was struck down by like the Oklahoma Supreme Court and later the US Supreme Court. But that's who Ryan Walters is. He wants you to know he's Christian and therefore everyone else has to be Christian too. And then he cloaks that by saying it's really all about teaching history, but really it's just about indoctrinating kids with his faith. But now there's one more thing we know about Ryan Walters, and that is he apparently enjoys watching adult content at work, which I know all of you suspected already, but now we kind of have some reason to believe that to be the case. And listen, you're going to ask me, why am I speaking for 3 hours about Ryan Walters? Listen, I have so little joy in my life. Let me enjoy this. You can enjoy it too. There's so much bad news in the world. We get to have this one for ourselves. So here's basically what happened. And the reason we know this, I should say, is because a website called Non Docs, as far as I can tell, they were the first ones to publish this. But what apparently happened is last week, the Oklahoma State Board of Education had their regularly scheduled meeting. This is last Thursday, the 24th in the morning. And at some point during the meeting, and mind you, this is the State Board of Education. It's a big deal. Not only are the members of the Board of Education there, you have some members of the public. It's not a huge room, but some members of the public, a lot of media outlets, reporters, and news cameras there too, because, it's the State Board of Education. It's a big deal. And at one point during that meeting, they went into executive session. And basically, what that means is there's some stuff the Board of Education has to discuss that is not for public consumption. For example, I'm totally making this part up. What if there's a parent who tried to ask a district, like, you expelled my child and you should not have done that, and I want the State Board of Education to step in? Well, they're discussing the situation, the specific case, the child's name. That's not for the public to hear. So they go into executive session. They go back to Ryan Walters' office and have a private discussion about that matter. And when they're done with it, they'll return to the public meeting. So that's what they did. They went into executive session. And at some point, when they were in the office, there were two State Board of Education members, who saw something weird. Here's the background you need to know. The two board members whose names you should be familiar with, Becky Carson and Ryan Deathridge. And both of those people were appointed by Governor Kevin Stitt, who is a Republican. Everyone we're talking about here is a Republican because it's Oklahoma and we're talking about the state government. But Kevin Stitt, the current governor, really doesn't like Ryan Walters, the wannabe governor, who, as far as I can tell, is very eager to launch his 2026 campaign to become governor because Kevin Stitt's like term limited out. And so this is everything I'm about to tell you is getting in the way of that announcement. But Stitt and Walters don't love each other right now. Somehow, Ryan Walters has just tried to usurp the power of Kevin Stitt. He's tried to undermine him. He's tried to make himself out to be like the king of all education and the guy who represents real Oklahomans and not those crazy Republicans who like actually run the state. So anyway, at some point, Stitt appointed several members of the Board of Education. Maybe they could stop Ryan Walters from doing Ryan Walters stuff. Becky Carson and Ryan Deathridge are two of those people. So they go to executive session, and I will show you the non-docs article, and we will talk about it then. Basically, those two people were the only ones at like an oval table who could see the television that, as far as I can tell, was like streamcasting from Ryan Walters' computer. Maybe they were looking at a Zoom screen. I don't know what the deal was. But let's look at this article. Here we go. Deathridge said he noticed the video first, while a parent, I assume over a Zoom call, was speaking about her appeal of a district transfer denial. As Deathridge weighed his options about how to bring the video to the room's attention, Carson noticed the nudity. I was like, what am I seeing? I kind of was in shock. Honestly, I started to question whether I was actually seeing what I was seeing, Carson said. I was like, is that woman naked? And then I was like, no, she's got a bodysuit on. And it happened very quickly. I was like, that is not a bodysuit. And I hate to even use these terms, but I said, those are her nipples. And then I was looking closer and I got a full body view. And I was like, that is pubic hair. Even right now, I couldn't even tell you what I was watching. That's interesting because I can. It's content you're not supposed to have up in the workplace, especially if you're Ryan Walters and your whole thing is, look, Bible's everywhere. So somehow they're having this Zoom call with some parent about some private, serious issue. And I wonder, my first thought was Ryan Walters was probably like streaming the Zoom or streamcasting the Zoom on the TV so everyone could see it. So we're all on the same page looking at the same thing. And maybe he was sharing a screen, but instead of sharing like the Zoom screen, he was sharing his whole laptop screen. And someone notices there's another window open and it has this adult content. I don't know if that's what happened, but that's the first thing I thought of because that to me is something that could totally happen when you think you're broadcasting one window, but you're really broadcasting your entire computer. And maybe Ryan Walters was looking at stuff before the meeting started, as one does. Listen, part of me just thinks this is kind of funny. It happens. People accidentally broadcast stuff they don't want others to see, but usually it's not like extreme adult content or anything. It's like, oh no, you caught me shopping online when I was supposed to be paying attention to the Zoom call. Anyway, let us continue with this story, shall we? As Carson processed what she was seeing, she said, the mama bear and teacher in me came out, and she stopped the meeting cold by confronting Walters. I was so disturbed by it that I was like, very loudly and boastfully, like I was a parent or a teacher, I said, what is on your TV? What am I watching? He, Ryan Walters, was like, what? What are you talking about? He stood up and saw it. This is important because you're going to hear what Ryan Walters says about this in a second, but this is in real time. He stood up and saw it. He made acknowledgement that he saw it, Carson recalled, and I said, turn it off now. And he was like, what is this? What is this? So he acknowledged it was inappropriate just by those words. And he was like, I can't get it to turn off. I can't figure out how to turn it off, but he knows how to turn it on. And I said, get it turned off. So he finally got it turned off. And that was the end of it. And then this is more damning than anything. He didn't address it. He didn't apologize. Nothing was said. We'll pause there. So instead of just saying, hey guys, whoops, I don't know how that got on there. Maybe it was a pop-up on my computer somehow. He's like, let's never speak about this. Let us never discuss it again. I'm skipping down to the bottom of the article because Carson said something that I thought was just perfect. It's like a teenager when you walk in the room and they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Yeah, she stumbled in and saw something she wasn't supposed to see. And what do you do if you're that teenager? You're like, mom, hide, get under the covers or whatever. So, okay, again, Listen, I have talked about Ryan Walters so many times, and of all the horrible things he has done in Oklahoma, honestly, everything I just shared with you right now is so low on the list of reasons to not like Ryan Walters. But the hypocrisy of it all, the fact that it's this guy, that's the beautiful part about this. Let's see what the other dude said, because remember, everything you just heard, my special reenactment, that was Becky Carson. But let's see what that other guy had to say about all this. Deatheridge recalled seeing multiple nude women on the screen and some sort of chiropractic table. Were they giving each other a massage? I don't know what they were watching. He found Walter's reaction to the situation confounding. I don't know if he turned it off or switched the channel. I don't remember, Deathridge said. I was surprised that when he came back to the table, he was not apologetic. I didn't ever hear an apology for that being on, and he didn't seem to be fazed that it was on. Yeah, again, that's probably the most damning thing. Ryan Walters did not address it in the moment, laugh it off, apologize. Hey guys, I don't know how that got on there. Let's just deal with this right now in private, since we're already in a private session. Nope, he pretended like it never happened. You didn't see the thing you definitely saw. And by the way, I saw this comment. Pop up here. Oklahoma is one of the states that requires a credit card or driver's license to even access adult content. That is accurate, which means if again, it's all allegations, right? If Ryan Walters had accessed adult content and put it in a tab that he thought no one would see on his computer, he had to age verify like they have to do in a lot of red states right now, which means what are your options here? He like scanned his driver's license, he submitted some sort of age verification test, and that's one option. He was using like a VPN to get around it. That's another option. But like that sort of adult content, if you're going to an adult website in theory, and I'm sure there are many ways around it in Oklahoma, but in theory, you're not supposed to be able to do it unless you overcome a hurdle. It doesn't just accidentally come up, is the point. And I don't know, I've had plenty of pop-up ads come up on my computer. It's never like hardcore adult content. That's a choice. Okay. So so basically, Ryan Walters, his screen, or at least the screen that's in the TV that's in his office, has some adult content. Not one board member saw it, two board members saw it. And by the way, there was a third board member too who was where was this guy? There was a third board member who did not see it because he did not have a line of sight to that television. But that third board member was like, yeah, I believe what my two colleagues here said, even if I didn't see it. It's not like they make up shit like this. So you basically have two people who saw it, another board member who's like, yeah, that's probably what happened, and Ryan Walters. And who are you going to believe in that situation? Okay. So very interesting. And so, what was Ryan Walters' reaction? Because here's what happened. They do this Thursday morning. All of this happens. They finish up their meeting. No one says anything. And then later on, those two board members are like, we got to tell somebody about this. And they speak to the media. And Nondocs, like I said, was the first to post about it. So by Friday, the 25th, July 25th, this becomes a whole thing. And what do you think Ryan Walters said on Friday? Well, first of all, like Donald Trump, he didn't say anything. He got one of his minions to speak out against it. And what did the minion do? He was like, no, you guys are all liars. This is the liberal media doing it. Check this out. Here we go. Walter's latest director of communications, love that jab because that guy goes through them like hotcakes. Walter's latest director of communications, Quentin Hitchcock, a perfect name for the story we are describing, responded with the pointed statement Friday afternoon. What an absolute joke of a story, and this is embarrassing from you to write a junk tabloid lie, Hitchcock wrote in an email. Any number of people have access to these offices. You have a hostile board who will say and do anything except tell the truth. And now, Nonsense Doc is reporting on an alleged random TV cable image. That's just word salad right there, whatever he just said. Rock solid truth in journalism. Like my buddy, now is not the time to try to crack jokes. But basically, they're accusing the board members of like lying, coming up with some conspiracy theory for what? To destroy another Republican. And the way they do it is by waiting until the cameras are off in Ryan Walters' private office and then concocting a very specific story about what he saw on camera. Like, it doesn't even make sense as a conspiracy. So, Ryan Walters is like, shit, my minion's lie did not work. Oh no. So now this story's everywhere. Because again, Ryan Walters is the Bible dude who wants the Bible everywhere. So part of what makes this whole story really funny is that Ryan Walters has been railing against what he calls adult content in school, even though that's not a real problem. He made a video in 2023 where he called for porn-free schools. And by that, he meant we got to get rid of any books that include radical sexual material. The problem is that there are no books in school libraries that have radical sexual material. I know, he's talking about books with like gay characters or books where teenagers are exploring young love. Like, it's not porn, it's like a coming of age novel or something like that. But anyway, those books have effectively been banned, so it's not like Walters was doing research for work. And also, none of those books, as I recall, involve multiple nude women and a chiropractic table. I don't know which novel, which classic novel was that? I don't remember that scene in Catcher in the Rye. Also funny is that around that time, Republican lawmakers are like, hey, Ryan Walters, you're saying there's all this adult content in the books. Can you send us examples of what you're talking about so we can actually write laws that ban these books? And Walters, according to one article, sent them a bunch of graphic, sexually explicit photos without saying where they came from or which schools were making kids look at this stuff because they don't exist. But also, those lawmakers are like, dude, what are you sending us on our work emails? So this isn't even the first time Ryan Walters has been condemned for sharing adult content with unsuspecting government officials. So again, the bigger issue here, it's the hypocrisy of all of this, because I don't care what Ryan Walters does in his private life. I don't care what he watches in his private life. This is all beautifully funny for the same reason it was funny when Ted Cruz liked adult content on Twitter for the whole world to see on 9/11. You can look that up. That's a thing that happened. And like, if it was some random other person, no one would care. But it's the guy who keeps talking about what a good religious guy he is. So, of course, this is hilarious. Ryan Walters accuses everybody else who doesn't think like him of like sexual perversion. Like, can you imagine what would happen if a teacher accidentally showed that in the classroom, what he was showing the Board of Education? What do you think he would say about that teacher? That teacher would be out of a job. That teacher would obviously be cast as some liberal, blue-haired Democrat who wants to corrupt children. But when Ryan Walters does it, it's a big lie from people who are out to get him. So by like Friday night, Ryan Walters, 36 hours later, he's doing damage control. He releases a statement to the media. This time it's not a lackey, it's just him. Look at this. Some of these board members are blatantly dishonest and cannot hide their political agenda. I just want to repeat, those two board members are Republican. It is disappointing that they are more interested in creating distractions than getting work done for Oklahoma families. This is how you know he's so guilty. Because that's not what you say when absolutely nothing happened. They're more interested in creating distractions. The entire board did not come up with this. Two people did not come up with the story that weirdly specific. It was funny trying to watch these two older, I don't know how old they are, but older Board of Education members try to explain to the media what they were looking at. And I already told you what they said they saw, but they were like, it looked like it was from Gilligan's Island, like it was from the 70s because of the way the camera looked. Like they don't know what they're looking at. It's not just like adult content, it's very specific genre of adult content. And these old guys are like, I don't know what that is, but it looks unusual. So, for now, and there is more to come, what has happened since then is Ryan Walters is like, look, you guys, do an investigation of me. And Republicans in leadership in the legislature are like, all right, fine, I guess we'll do an investigation. So they had the, I think, Oklahoma County Sheriff. They also had the Office of Management and Enterprise Services do an investigation of his computer and the situation in that chamber of his where the TV was connected. And I'm going to play for you what Ryan Walters said shortly after all this happened. Let me see if I could get this. Ryan Walters does a press conference then, because this story doesn't go away. And the audio isn't great on this, but let me play for you a little bit of the press conference Ryan Walters then did, where he's just mad at the whole world.
What we've seen transpire over the last 5 days is the nastiest, biggest lie ever lodged at an official in Oklahoma. I cannot begin to describe the disgusting nature of the lies leveled against me by board members, by the media, and by the teachers union. This has been a coordinated attack to crucify my character and to try to stop the will of Oklahomans and their vision for education in the state of Oklahoma. For the past 5 days, my kids have got to see headlines that are lies. For the last 5 days, my family has watched as a press corps showed why the public has zero trust in their reporting. My family has watched as board members stopped at nothing to stop education reform in the state of Oklahoma. These board members have a lot to answer for, and so does the governor of the state of Oklahoma. Did he direct these board members to lie about me?
I love the clip because he's just trying to cast blame everywhere he can because he so very much wants to be Donald Trump. He can never take any responsibility for anything. He's just got to blame everyone else. He's like, can you believe what my kids are reading in the newspaper? Listen, this is not the thing his kids should be embarrassed by. Everything Ryan Walters has done over the past couple of years, that's what they should be embarrassed by. This guy who wants to destroy whatever is left of Oklahoma's public school system, that's what their daddy will be remembered for, and it's not a good legacy. So listen, also, there's no way Ryan Walters' kids can read. You know that. This guy does not teach them how to read. If they read, they might read other books. And if they read other books, they might learn something. And that would go against everything Ryan Walters stands for. So anyway, he's just trying to paint himself as a martyr. And like, I wish there was a camera that panned to the media while he was doing that press conference, because there's no way anyone was buying that. I want to play one more clip for you from that same press conference. Here's another scene.
We have had our name cleared by both OMES and the sheriff's office. There is nothing scandalous that I was a part of whatsoever. And the lies will have consequences. Those individuals that tried to assassinate my character and print and publish things that are demonstrably false and provably false. We'll be hearing from us and all of Oklahomans very, very soon.
There's a couple things about that. First, he said he's gonna like get revenge on everybody. Yeah, I'm sure you are, buddy. But the other thing he said is OMES, that's the Office of Management and Enterprise Services, and the sheriff, like the Oklahoma County Sheriff, he said they cleared him. They said they did the investigation because this was, I think, earlier this week, Monday or Tuesday. He said they cleared me. I'm good. So all of you are liars. Well, this is what the Oklahoman newspaper said about that. In a memo to Oklahoma legislators, the state OMES says it, quote, cannot determine definitively whether or not an incident took place. They basically looked at the TV. Oh, and what else? The OMES memo contains no language clearing Walters, though he insisted multiple times Tuesday that he had been cleared by the agency. So Ryan Walters is like, everyone cleared me. I did nothing wrong. And they're all like, well, we looked at your browser history or something, and there's nothing there. Or we looked at the TV. The bottom line is, look, there's no recording of what happened. We can't prove you did it, but also you totally could have. We just don't know about that. That's what they basically have figured out. And also, I wish there was a way. I think there are some other hurdles they have to do to get access to Ryan Walters' computer. And you know, Ryan Walters, as soon as he got the chance, went to his browser history and deleted everything. The smart thing to do would have been to delete like 2 websites or something that he never should have gone to. But no, he deleted the whole thing. But they can't get access to the computer without some additional permissions. And now it might be too late to reconstruct what happened. I don't know how that works. But basically, all the groups that have looked at what he did and they looked at the computer and the TV, they're like, we can't really tell based on the limited access we were given to look stuff up. They also did say in the memo that a one-time passcode was required to access screencasting to the television, limiting the number of people with casting ability to the device, which means it's not like some random person was screencasting to a television. Ryan Walters must have typed in the code to pair up his computer with the TV. Like, all the signs point to, yeah, whatever was on Ryan Walters' computer is what you were seeing on the TV screen. But they can't prove it. But Ryan Walters is definitely denying it. I'm going to show you one more thing, which is that he did yet another thing, because I don't think that press conference worked out. So then he did something from his office, and the audio sucks, but this is actually what he sent out on social media.
What you've seen over the last 5 days is the nastiest political attack we've seen on an Oklahoma official. These are lies by board members, by a corrupt news media, and perpetuated by the teachers union to try to stop the will of Oklahoma voters and the Oklahoma parents. Already had 2 independent groups come in and prove there was no wrongdoing going on.
Again, he says they all cleared me. They did not. Non-Docs, the website that broke this story, they have followed up on this. And this is what they've said. The sheriff's office issued a statement to clear up any confusion after Walters implied its investigation was complete. The investigation is still in its infancy, so it would be inappropriate to discuss who we plan to speak with or any evidence we are seeking. You can, however, expect a thorough investigation with the results being made public at the conclusion. Which is fine, but it sure as hell looks like they're not going to be, I don't know that they can uncover anything. I also enjoyed this update here. This is what Ryan Walters said. We have a cable box back there, and we have got a gross accusation that has already been proven by OMES and the sheriff's office to be impossible to have happen. There's no devices connected to that cable TV. It's a cable TV set. We got board members that are lying and are crucifying my character to stop the work we are doing here for Oklahomans. That claim was contradicted by a report OMES sent to legislators Tuesday afternoon, one day after an agency employee, 3 deputy sheriffs, and a third-party vendor examined the TV at his office. So Walters is just, what's the word I'm looking for? He's struggling. He doesn't know how to get out of this. He's trying so hard to cast blame. After the Tuesday press conference, It seems that one of the Democrats in the legislature said this. Andy Fugate, I don't know how to pronounce his name, he was not happy with everything Walters is saying. To summarize the superintendent's remarks, the governor is now woke and part of the cabal working to take Ryan Walters down. At the same time, Oklahoma's now ranked 50th in education. Yeah, I mean, that's the right response. Ryan Walters does not care about any of this. And I got one more thing to show you here, which is that there was a cybersecurity team that also investigated the matter. It's called Alias Cybersecurity. And according to non-docs as well, look at this. Alias Cybersecurity, they issued like a 32-page document. It includes an initial evaluation of the TV and connected devices, as well as a series of images and recommended next step for further investigation. However, Alias's report said the initial examination was significantly constrained owing to the TV's limited logging functionality. So they don't have access to the information they need. It's not like the TV you can go like Control Z and undo and figure out what happened there. So they also said one more thing right here. While the investigation confirmed the presence of various applications and devices capable of displaying streaming or stored media, unlike what Walter said, no definitive artifacts were identified that could conclusively verify whether specific content was or was not displayed on the television. And we can't figure out. We don't have any ability to figure that stuff out. That's where we are at right now. Also, one thing the investigation found is that the remote control batteries were not working, which might explain why Ryan Walters was like, I can't turn it off. I can't turn it off. Also, in their report, they said, I found this troubling. Look at the last bullet point. When the cable box was turned on, the channel was set to Newsmax. Like, that is so much worse than just saying there was adult content on there. You're the superintendent of public instruction, and you're watching the dumbest channel on television. Christ. Oh, isn't this fun? It would be hilarious to me if, of all the horrible things Ryan Walters has done to destroy public education and wage a war on public schools and public teachers, if this is the thing that finally brings him down, how funny would that be? Like, I always knew he enjoyed screwing over the people of Oklahoma. I just didn't think his downfall would involve watching that from the sidelines. I don't know. I'll pause there for a bit. What questions do we got? I live in Oklahoma, and I am loving seeing people from out of state roast him. Like I said earlier, this is such a beautiful story. It makes me so happy. And it makes me so happy to watch Ryan Walters squirm because he deserves it. Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation is now in the investigation. I've seen like murders that get less investigated than Ryan Walters streaming stuff on his office TV. But okay, great. Go look at everything. I hope they find some piece of evidence that Ryan Walters forgot to delete. I feel this way about every Bible thumper. They like to wave that book in public, act holy, and all the while know all the dirty parts. Yeah, and honestly, again, I don't care what he's watching. If I found out Ryan Walters is at home at night watching all this stuff, would it be hypocritical given everything he said? Yes. Would I care about it? Not really. I don't care what the man does in private, but it is telling, even on a different level here, when you see what all these right-wing Republicans who wave the flag and raise a Bible, what are they doing when they are in power? It is dismantling science in our country. It is screwing over poor people, making sure hospitals shut down, adding to our climate crisis. They are doing the worst possible things while pretending to do what God wants them to do. I mean, that's the bigger hypocrisy here, but whatever, I'll take Ryan Walters for now while I can. It's been reported that there was the TV, cable box, streaming device, antenna, DVD player, and his computer all connected to the TV. He's supposed to be working. As we all know, Ryan Walters doesn't actually have anything useful to do. So all he does, every press release is like, look, I found another Bible verse that we should teach kids. That's all he does in office. So it wouldn't surprise, I would be happier knowing all he does in office is watch Netflix all day. That would be so much better for everybody. If Donald Trump went golfing every single day, our country would be better off. Just don't do work. When you actually do shit, it's bad. So, like, just stop. Go watch all the porn you want, Ryan Walters. Stop screwing over the children. Compulsive liar, like his hero. I don't know if we're talking about Trump or God, but it works for both. Just like Taco claimed not being removed from office for his impeachment as I was totally exonerated. Yeah, I mean, just denial. They do it, all their surrogates do it on Fox too. Like, oh, the tariffs are great. Look how much money we made. It's like, no, that's how much money Americans are paying. Whatever, it's great. They just know they can lie and get away with it because they've also destroyed the media infrastructure that will ever call them out on this stuff. So they could say whatever they want. And a lot of ignorant people believe this shit, and that's the problem we're in right now.